So today's guest is somebody who's actually been declared the SEO Rockstar by American Marketing Association, and his name is Dmitrii Kustov. And basically, he has significantly increased his online presence of the brands that he's worked with through custom digital marketing campaigns and innovative content marketing techniques. Dmitrii is the Internet Marketing Director for Regex SEO, and his work has appeared on Forbes, MOZ, SEMrush, HackerNoon, and many other high-profile marketing platforms. So Dmitrii, thank you very much for coming on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And you know what, honestly, it's pretty cool to have somebody who isn't in my typical wheelhouse as far as like the guests that I usually have on here, or the clients that I work with. Seldom do we have somebody who is like in a strict marketing agency type role. So I'm actually very excited to dive into all of this with you. So what I'd love to know about you is just give us some context on like how you got to doing what you're doing. What's your story with regards to starting your agency?
Yeah, so by training, by education, it actually has nothing to do with marketing. So I got into marketing by chance, in a sense. I was hired as a developer at an agency about 10 years ago now. And the management very quickly realized that they didn't need a developer. They needed somebody who would be doing SEO specifically. So they kind of gave me a choice, or let's call it, they pushed me into direction of SEO. And in about 6 months, I was running their marketing department, because either I would have figured it out or I would have been fired. So the rest is history. And in 2016, end of 2015, beginning of 2016, I was faced with a choice of go look for a better position at another agency or try to do it on my own. And as we all entrepreneurs, young minds, opening the first business, think that, hey, how difficult can it be? I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to do it on my own. And so, yeah, I went ahead and opened the Regex SEO. And since then, it's been a pretty crazy growing time. Currently, we are about, 16 people full-time. We have about 30 contractors we work with full-time, and a few dozen companies, from small mom and pops to international corporations we work with. So yeah, there you go.
That's a beautiful path that, yeah, is oftentimes the kind of the story, right? Like you figure out that you have this skill set that is actually like really valuable. You want to expand beyond it and impact more and create more. And then suddenly you get into this buy into this whole dream of like, yeah, entrepreneurship seems like the right thing to do, and it's going to be so easy and everything's going to be great, until you actually start to do it, and then the reality starts to sink in. So yeah, I mean, I'd love for you then to dive into that reality. Like, what is it that's going on in your business right now that brings you here today?
Right. That question of what's going on and what kind of struggles the business experiencing, it definitely depends on when you ask me that question. And currently, we have been experiencing very steady growth. And there are really two main things that I personally struggle with right now. The first one, just as a business in general, with the COVID and this past couple of years of craziness, it has been very difficult to find the right team members, or even just the pool of workforce. Even though I thought it would be larger, for some reason it's actually shrinking, and I can't wrap my head around that. With COVID, during COVID, we went fully remote as we were forced to. So I figured, hey, now instead of only hunting people in Houston area where we are, we're open to the whole world. And the opportunities, the number of possibilities would be much higher. In reality, it seems to be much more difficult to find that right person. So that's one of the kind of a business side struggles that we are experiencing. And then on a bit of more of a personal side, as a business owner, as a leader, recently I have been struggling with finding a correct way on how to inspire my team, how inspire people I work with, and kind of a little sidestep here, not motivate, but inspire. I do believe that those are completely two different things. To me, motivation is kind of a negative thing. You motivate yourself when you don't want to do something. I'm going to motivate myself to get up earlier. I want to motivate myself to stay up later. I'm going to motivate myself to eat healthy or go to gym. It's something that you don't really want to do, or maybe you want to do it, but it's something not easily, something you're not really, something you don't want to do at the end of the day. And then inspiration is, by definition, it's in spirit. So it's something that instead of motivating to me means pushing. So hey, I want to motivate this person to I know, sell more, get more leads, and I have to push them, instead of inspiration, where it's all about pulling, kind of the idea of, here's the vision, let's go there, and then let's come with me. So how to properly inspire people, how to properly connect business vision, mission, personal goals of employees, business goals, and so on and so on. So yeah, that's a fairly loaded question, but here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you didn't bring a small one of like, how do I do X or whatever. It's
Right.
we're going to be diving into quite a bit of things, and I appreciate you for it, because I think it's worthwhile acknowledging when people get to a certain size, right? Like, let's just say that they make that transition from solopreneur into actually having a team, being responsible for payroll and paying people's wages. I think there's also this pressure, oftentimes self-imposed, of needing to look a particular way, otherwise it'll be like vulnerability is weakness, etc. And the fact that you're bringing it to light, I think, is extremely important. So I just wanted to acknowledge you for doing it, and especially doing it in this kind of fashion, for number one. So stepping back from that, to me, just kind of going back into your definitions, it sounded like your definition of motivation is very synonymous with discipline, right? It's the push energy to get something done that I might have inner resistance to it. So number one, is that accurate as far as how you see motivation?
I would not say that in this case it means discipline. To me, it's kind of like motivation. It's either the carrot or a stick. That's kind of the idea for me, right? So how do I motivate a person? Do I give them a raise, or do I threaten them with that they're going to get fired if they don't fulfill certain goals? That doesn't sound right. That doesn't seem to be right. And the question becomes, how do we make our team members feel the same way about the company and the future, and the kind of get pumped up, like, hey, yeah, I understand, I'm going to do this, just looking at myself when I was younger, and different companies that I like currently, I would go work for them for, well, not currently, but I would have gone work for them for maybe almost free, or for a much smaller salary, because there is that inspiration. There's like the idea of like the cause, right? And we are in marketing, so it's not like we are doing space exploration, or so like compared to NASA, for example, or we're not doing something that is kind of changing the world, maybe some kind of nonprofits that are, I don't know, providing clean water in Africa or something like that. So how do you get people excited and pumped up about doing marketing for AC repair company or something of that nature?
Got it. So even if we were just take a step back a bit further, and we'll get into the weeds of your question, but if we just zoom out a little bit more, why is this important to you?
Okay, so whenever their business is business, we're all people, we're all humans, and people make mistakes, and there are different types of people, as in employees, and the way I think is not necessarily the way you think. What motivates me, what makes me pumped up, is not necessarily what makes you pumped up. So in order to grow and grow without a lot of people just leaving after a year or so, you have to figure out how to make them inspired, how to make them invested into the company, into the vision or mission, whatever that is, so that even if somebody, a competitor in a sense, offers them more money, they're gonna say, well, you know what, I'm not interested in money, I'm not here for the money. And I do believe that we do fairly good job at sifting those people out in the interview process before hiring. It's just over time, how do you keep them in the same state of mind that this is the company I want to work for, this is the part of the team I want to be, regardless of other things.
Got it. So I would then bring it back to the original question, because that was a very good rephrasing of what you originally described, which was like, how do I move away from this motivation push energy into the inspiration pull energy? Mm-hmm. So my question to you was, well, why is this important to you personally? Right. And then you kind of just rehash the same thing, or at least that's where your brain went to. So
okay, yeah. So the direct answer is why it is important is to not lose good employees. That's what it is.
Got it. So that you're not constantly going through having to retrain, re-onboard, hire, manage like new employees. Yeah.
Okay. Exactly.
Got it. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And so, sorry, one thing, and not just how to retain good employees, but also how to find or attract great talent that is still out there. So those are the two main things.
Got it. So then how do you stay inspired?
What motivates me, what inspires me are, I'm a huge data nerd. I'm like, I have a saying for myself, typically people count the sheep when they go to bed to fall asleep. Well, for me, my sheep are doing long divisions for me instead of just I'm counting them. So the whole idea of seeing those numbers go up, the result, it's really about result. It comes down to results. We have created something, some kind of marketing campaign or some kind of activity, and then we see the results of that campaign, of whatever marketing activity we are doing, and that not just improving kind of on paper, but actually makes difference in that the business owner who hired us in their company. It makes them grow. We see their company expand. So It's a way of influencing, not something artificial. It's the way of actually seeing, revenues go up, people getting better pay, whatever it is. It's results.
Got it. So what about that is inspiring for you?
Oh, I'm not sure how to answer that. The fact itself is inspiring, I guess. Inspiring. I think it will boil down to the fact that the work we do matters.
Okay. And if you elaborated on that, what does that mean to you?
Well, it's not just like pushing numbers from one column to another. And if there's actually a very, I forgot who said it, but if I die tomorrow, will somebody miss me? Will somebody, like, especially in terms of clients, like, will people call our company line and say, hey, where's Dmitrii? Why, like, what's happening? We miss that guy. We something is missing somewhere. So the idea of that we make a difference, and it's not just frugal.
Okay. So then what are you going to be missed for?
I hope those results, the fact that, because like in our company, what is it? It's not mission, it's a vision, not vision. It's the way we present the company is that we want to be a part of your team. So it's not just kind of a transactional vendor relationship. We want to know you. We want to find out about you. We want to be a part of your team. So kind of all that connects together, that if we go away, then that business owner will feel it, that something is not right. I don't know if that answers the question you're asking.
So I think it's moving in that direction. So let me give it to you in another different way. So let's just say you have a client, you've delivered, however you want to call it, exceptional results, very good results, like the ROI on their investment with you is absolutely clear. And obviously hypothetical situation, but you disappear tomorrow. They never asked where Dmitrii was. What does that mean to you?
It would mean that whatever we do doesn't matter.
But you got them the results. Like you got them 100% ROI on their money. Right. Very good result. So why then, if that is the inspiring part and that is the part that matters, why then would they not call you? Or
that's the good question, right? I would hope that they would, and there's no way to test it in a sense.
Yeah, there's definitely no way to test it. I agree. I would not recommend testing it in any way. So yes. So as a hypothetical, what would that mean about you and your existence to that client?
So that goes a little bit into kind of a side conversation of finding the correct clients as well, because we do talk about that often, finding the right clients, because some business owners, they do not understand the value of marketing.
So I'm just going to pause you right there, not because I'm trying to cut off or invalidate what you're saying, but because sometimes our brain does very funny things, especially for individuals like yourself, who is very analytical by nature. Like that is your strength, right?
Yeah.
So the question was in the hypothetical, you have a client who got extremely good ROI. They got the results part of what you deliver, right? In terms of the inspiration that you are searching for, one of your definitions was, when I'm gone, I'm going to be remembered, right? Great. How are you going to be remembered? Well, I'm going to be remembered for the results that I've gotten. So in this hypothetical, you got extremely good results for the client. You have now disappeared and they don't actually inquire where you are. So the question is, what does that mean about you? Not, is the client good for me or not?
What does it mean? What would that mean to me, or would that mean
About
about
you.
me? I don't know. That's a very interesting question. What would that mean about me? I would, I don't know if it would mean anything, because you know, I did my best, and
And
then
you delivered.
and I delivered, and at that point, I just the hope that the work is being valued, and if for whatever reason it's not being valued, on my part, I see that, and maybe that's where, maybe that's the what you're looking for, is that the results themselves to me matter a lot, meaning that even if somebody says, like, we delivered exceptional results, and yet they're not being valued, that's okay. It's not the best outcome. I would hope that evolves into bigger relationship, and, you know, kind of a part of the team and everything of that nature. But if, as long as the results have been delivered, what we promised, or maybe even more, and I will sleep fine when that happens, because at that point it's out of my hands.
Correct. So there's two things I want to challenge you on that one. So number one is you're saying, okay, like the client doesn't really value what it is that I've done. Okay, you got 100% ROI in terms of results. At least in terms of objective results, you can say that what you did was valuable.
Mhm.
You don't actually know, even in a hypothetical example, even in a real example, what somebody's actually valuing or not, unless, let's just say, they've explicitly told you, right? So
Right.
the value of the results, what I would just invite you to consider is that is the value that you give to the results. Like, this relationship has been valuable because I delivered on my end. And that is true to a very large degree, right? What I would also invite you to consider is, upon the second time that I ask you the question, what does it mean to you if you're not remembered? Your brain went to, what is the client's definition of value? Right? So I'm going to bring it back again, right? What does it mean about you, to you, by you, if you are forgotten after delivering very good results?
I'm not sure how to answer that, my friend. What would it mean about me?
So we can look at it a different way.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel when trying to find an answer for that question?
I'm not sure where to go, right? It's kind of besides what we already talked about.
And there is actually no right answer here. Like, I have no idea, right? I'm actually prompting you to explore what is the right answer for you. And just from the way that your brain is reacting and how your body gets uneasy, I think there is something there that doesn't really want to be probed, right? Is it, I lack significance and I only find it through delivering results? Is it that significance pales in comparison or disappears if I can't deliver results and I'm just a human to have significance?
Right.
And, or, you know, like there's something there. So what comes up for you when I reflect that?
Well, okay. So it's just being put on the spot type of thing, something I haven't thought about. So that's part of the uneasiness there.
100%. That's
As,
why I went there. So yes.
yeah. As for like, I kind of understand where you're trying to go with the most recent comments. I would not consider myself like a what you call it, like a I would hope that I don't have an ego, or at least a huge ego. I would hope that most people would also say that about me. So at the end of the day, let's say I have, throughout my life, I helped a lot of businesses and clients and did good work and whatever else, and nobody knows my name at the end of my life. That's okay, because the inspiration for myself is internal, meaning that the external validation is nice and definitely is positive, but what makes me lose my sleep or sleep well at night is how do I see myself, in a sense. So like the maybe not self criticism, but I know I can do better, or I know that we have not done as well as we could have because of this and that. So whenever the results are what have been promised, whenever the work has been fulfilled, I sleep well. It's whenever things are not doing as well, and that's definitely part of my personality as well. The idea of I start nitpicking when things are not going well, and I'm very much relaxed when things are going well. And I would assume most people are that way, but so that's also there. And I'm just talking, like I don't know if I'm answering any questions or going somewhere with that. But yeah, the bottom line is, as long as to myself, I am convinced that I'm delivering the best results, that I put 100% of effort, that's okay with me.
100%. I would actually agree with everything that you said, and I can feel the bit about ultimately my ego is not big. I don't need validation. The result is what matters more than the validation, right? 100%. I feel that. So what I would then bring it back to is, what significance do you have as an individual outside of your ability to deliver results?
To my team, or what, in general?
To your existence in the world.
So what significance do I have in the world, or can you say that again?
Sure. So if you lost the ability to deliver results, what significance do you have for existing?
There would be none. Besides the maybe obvious things of like being a good family man, whatever, things of that nature. But in terms of the work part, like, let's say,
so let me just take you back to that, right? Your instinct answer, your default answer to what significance do I have if I don't bring results is nothing, right? So you're like,
correct,
to just let that land for you.
Yes.
The significance of you as Dmitrii, the human being behind the ownership of this company, behind the results that you contribute, you have no significance.
Oh, wow. Interesting. My immediate answer is you're correct, but I'm not sure how to parse that. So kind of like a little bit of a side quest here. Let's say something happens tomorrow and I'm not able to do what I do, or I'm not able to work at all. Would it mean that that's it, that my life is over? I would say no, because I will find a way to be not productive necessarily, but like to be helpful, useful to somebody, somewhere, somehow. But also at the same time, which will tell you quite a bit about all of the personality and everything, I hate myself when I have a lazy day. So if I just sleep all day, watch some Netflix, whatever else, at the end of the day, I hate myself. So if there are no some type of results, which not necessarily helping clients, or like if I'm homeowner, so I know something needs painted, and if I don't do it, I feel bad, something like that of that regard.
100%.
So yeah. In terms of significance to the world, if there is no some type of results, if I'm not helping somebody, if I'm not existing for a betterment of something, I would say, yeah, then what's the point?
Right. So if you were to rewind back the last, whatever that was, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, right? If you look at what you said, it's actually just more evidence to support the original question. So if I have a boring day, a restful day, chilling, watching Netflix kind of day, right? It's not, I don't like to be bored. I like to be busy and I'm always engaged. It's, I hate the day, that there is disdain and judgment in your ability to just simply relax. Okay. So again, that is very correlated and synonymous with, I don't have significance unless I'm in the process of providing results. If there's something to paint in the house, that's a result that gives me significance, right? It always comes back to, and like you're talking about the world, it's not necessarily the world as a large, it's the world of Dmitrii, right? So as good as this is for output, it is actually an extremely fragile position to be in, because it is literally dependent on you to produce results. It is conditional.
Some kind, right? Yes.
Yeah.
And I do want to mention, say this. So, for example, you say that if I'm just relaxing, no, I would not say that it's the relaxation vacation. Like we go travel, and there is a result in the sense that there's no like a material physical result, but there is a result, maybe achievement of some sorts, right? We spent a day together as a family. The result there is better bond within the family or something of that nature. But if at the same time, if everybody just sits at home watching their something on the phone and does not say a word to each other, then yeah, I would say that's when I start hating the day. So yeah,
100%. And that is a good clarification in the sense of like the semantics do matter, like what my definition of it, etc. So yeah, if the relaxation resonates more, that it's like, okay, 100%. It was more the charge of the response that I wanted to draw to your attention, right? To hate something like this is, levels and magnitudes above, like, I just dislike idleness,
right.
And that was just my reflection back with regards to the sentiment of significance, right? And to just kind of bring this back around, just with regards to like in this container, like your original question, how we started down this whole rabbit hole was how do I inspire people, right? And you use the definition yourself, like in spirit, that pull energy, okay? Your sole driver and the significance, let's just say the majority of the significance for you as a human being and what you contribute is derived from the results, which you have very high competence in to deliver from the analytical side of things. Very little of that is in spirit, right? Even when I prompted you, like, how does that make you feel? There was discomfort. What's happening like in your body right now when I reflect back, like, hey, like, did you just listen to yourself what you just said? I'm insignificant if I'm not driving results. Fundamentally, that is an environment led by data, not by emotion, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
in that instance, right, your, for lack of better word, I'm going to say inability, but I think it's actually resistance to inspire is first and foremost going to stem from your capacity to actually feel inspirational things from a feeling perspective, not from a like cold hard data perspective. And it's going to stem from that moving downwards. But even if you were to like rewatch this whole conversation, your answers are brilliantly intellectual. Like that they all make sense. They all are very articulate. That they paint a nice picture. But as soon as it trickles down into like anything somatic, anything emotional, anything human, like behind the numbers, that's where there's this big intellectual shield that pops up, right? That's why even your definition of like motivation, you know, pushing yourself to do what you don't want to do. So against the resistance, the emotional resistance to do something, you're very good at that, right? The carrot and the stick, what are the incentives and the levers that I have to pull to get people to do what it is that they want to do? You've capped your abilities to do all of that. But what you're asking for from the inspiration question is really a question of how do I regain back in a safe way that allows me to fully embody and then express my emotional human self. That has to be solved first before it can actually trickle down to inspiration, unless you want to run an organization of AI robots that's going to, you know, pull levers and be a great intellectual representation of what you do. Okay, so I know that was a lot. I know it was like throwing a lot your way. So how does all of that land for you?
I understand. I understand exactly what you're saying. Absolutely. And the question or the problem of, or the question, how do I inspire, is definitely, it definitely comes from the position of I know I'm different. I know I'm not like a not stereotypical, but like a regular person. So do I get inspired from listening to some kind of talks and speeches, you know, on YouTube, whatever? Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, I know that the way I think is completely different, maybe not completely different, but very different from most people. I would say more or less everybody on my team. So that is the question. How do I learn? How can I inspire them while not being inspired by normal stuff? I don't know how to express that, but that is the question, right? So for me, it always comes back to analytics and data, and like, hey, if I do this, then this. It's like the giant binary tree in my head. If this, then that, right? And it just goes down and down and down. And so that is the question. How to, and you mentioned ability to be inspired, like the from the human nature of myself and all that stuff. So here's, I guess, my question to you. considering that I do get inspired by speeches or sometimes even watching a movie or whatever it is, not necessarily just looking at the numbers. The way I perceive everything is very different still. So how do I learn? How do I figure out a way to inspire people who work with me when I know they have different way of thinking, their different way of reacting? So that is the question. So what do you have to say there?
So yeah, that is a great question. And I just want to contextualize it first and foremost by just acknowledging you that there's actually nothing wrong with you. Okay.
Oh.
And like that, I just want to make that abundantly clear,
right, yeah.
because, you started that whole conversation with saying, I know I'm different. And I just want to celebrate you for the gifts you do have, because, not everybody, you're right, does have that intellectual capacity, and it served you really well, right? Like there's not a lot of people, or there's a lot less people that don't have 16 employee companies, right? So there is a lot to celebrate in your core quality of being somebody who can drive these data typed results. Okay, that's number one. With regards to your actual question, the premise of your question is wrong. And here's what I mean by this. You can't outthink emotional problems, right? Your question was like, how do I figure out how to do this? You don't. The reason you don't is because you're tapping into and you're trying to access a skill set you spent a lifetime ignoring while building your analytical skill set, right? And I'm sharing this because I was in a very similar boat and went the opposite direction of you, whereas for you, it led to a more successful company. For me, it actually caused me to implode my company. So I owned a brick and mortar weight loss center for 10 years before I shifted into doing this. Mm-hmm. But that was it. Like I was, kind of like immigrant parents, like school was everything. You get praise for being smart. And I mean, even in the background, you got all these books, right? But it was always trying to figure things out that ultimately caused a lot of emotional blind spots that I only managed to look at once everything crashed. And they're two completely different skill sets, right? How do I feel safe in my body? How do I actually feel? How do I then learn to express that in a way that aligns with who I am? And this doesn't mean like you got to go out and, be rah and like, be like something that you're not. But there is a way to tune into it that aligns with who you are, that is actually inspirational to the people around you. You're like, what you're asking is, how do I become magnetic? Well, it actually starts with you allowing your magnetism to shine through, which is an embodied experience. It's not an algorithm that you can learn. So I know that's kind of a non-answer to your question, but it is the honest one. So how does that land for you?
Well, what exactly what just said. So it's like a. Let me rephrase. Let me ask you this question. What's the next step?
Okay, so there are lots of different next steps, which again, I know is not the answer to your question. I can certainly talk to you those like outside of like this episode, but the short answer is like, they are going to be processes and updating how it is you view the world so that you can embody who it is you actually are, right? So just to give you a more concrete example, like when I asked you, like, how does this make you feel? Or what does this mean about you? You had a very hard time going there and then your brain went somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So a big part of what the learning is actually just learning to get an honest answer, not from your head, but actually from your body, right? That process of learning how to be embodied, how to express that, have the capacity to feel all of that in a short form is what you're going to have to learn.
Interesting. Okay. it's definitely quite a few things to think over.
Yeah, I don't, probably not what you expected, but that's what I got. So just for the sake of, like I said, this is a lot of stuff that we can go into that's going to go beyond the scope of this particular episode. But in terms of like this container here, like, does this feel complete for you, or is there still something left outstanding?
Within the container of this episode, I think we're there. I do understand how we got here.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, in that case, to just close us off, if you could just let everybody know, where's the best place to find you, who's the best person to find you, floor is yours for that.
Right. Yeah. So again, the company is called Regex SEO, and we do data-driven, surprise, surprise, marketing. So if anybody has any questions, they can always reach me at regexseo.com, or if you would like to talk to me directly on social media, I'm at Digital Spaceman, Twitter, LinkedIn, so on. We are in Houston. Houston is NASA, space, all that stuff. Digital marketing, all about exploration and new horizons. So yeah, it fits very well in the branding. So yeah, Digital Spaceman on Twitter and LinkedIn.
Beautiful. Well, Dmitrii, thank you very much. I know this is probably completely outside your comfort zone, so I applaud
that's
you
good.
for it.
That's good.
It is. It is absolutely good. So I'm saying I applaud you for it, acknowledge you for it. We'll include all those bits in the show notes. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on. And for everybody else listening, we'll see you on the next one.